you can do that you can easily grab. So this was where we stopped last time, right? So if you look at the summary of what we have on the notebook, it did mean that we have only treated the following topic. One, we've learned how to import what? Libraries, right? Into Python notebooks such as the pandas and what? The NumPy. And I know I've explained to us as the reason why we imported the pandas and what? The NumPy. I told us that there are both libraries, right? In other words, libraries are places, they are like packages that we are integrating in the notebook for us to be able to access what? Functions for analysis and for also structuring our data. It was from the pandas that we are able to what? To use the read underscore what? CSV to read the CSV what? Data set, right? We also learned how to read pure Excel what? Data set using a function called read underscore Excel. And then another thing we did was we started looking at how to inspect our data, right? I told us that as data analysts, when you are given data, we are not expected to rush into analysis. We are expected to do some finding, check off the data, find out what the data comes with so that you'll be able to draft a reasonable analysis question. And I said in doing that, there are certain functions in Python that help us to inspect our data sets, right? And part of these functions, I know we have discussed the first one we started with was info, right? .info, which analyzes information about our data sets, such as telling us the total number of record we have there, total number of columns, and also analyzing the headings, the type of data or value you have under each of them. We also look at .shape. And I hope you are following. I'm trying to recap what we did last time before I delve into today's assignment. So the .shape, this one helps us to just display only the total number of record and the columns. So which means that with this result, we have how many record in that data set? We have 55,000, right? 500. How many columns do we have? Good. Now, we also use this attribute to call out those headers in case you want to confirm. If you count all this, that will be equal to the 15 you are having here, right? So you use this column attribute to bring them out so that you can actually check. Then we also talk about the describe. You should remember what we achieved with the describe. The describe was used to summarize our data with Python basic statistical functions, right? Starting from count, mean, and then I also told us that we can actually use them individually, right? Without accessing them through the describe. So here we are applying the count alone. And then here we are applying the mean alone, and then so on. So today we are looking at, so let's write the topic of our discussion. So today we are looking at this introduction to data selection analysis. Please make sure you write down what particularly this topic we are discussing. I said introduction to what? Data selection analysis. Introduction to data selection analysis. Now, what we actually want to do here is simple. Are you with me? What we want to do here is simple. Now, there are some techniques which I use to perform filtering analysis. So what we want to do is more or less of filtering analysis, because we have three categories of analysis you can actually perform with Python. It's either selection, where you are depending on filtering functions. In other words, if you look at this data, I thought I've opened the data here. If I'm working with this data, what is the name of this data? I think DA1, right? So let me see if I have it here. Okay, now looking at this data now, for example, this DA2. If I am asked to pull out only the first name and the age from this to make up a different data set, and then I'm also asked to pull out discount and what educational level to make up what a different what data set. So what we are going to do is that we are going to select, that is, we are going to what pick some of this what record. Are you with me? So what we are doing has nothing to do with summation, addition, counting. It's about what selection. So from a given data set, you can be asked to pull out certain aspects of it to become the subset. Exactly. So I just want us to understand the overview of what we are learning today, which is what? Introduction to what? Data selection analysis. Now, I want to start with this function. So at times we're working with known functions. At times we're working with what? Techniques or logic. Now, let's start with data concatenation. So what is data concatenation? Data concatenation simply means what? Merging or joining two or more data sets to form a new data frame. That is the simple definition of what? Concatenation. To concatenate means you are joining two different data sets together. Are you with me? Then what you should write right now, or what you should focus on, is the syntax. And then if you look at what I've explained here, you may not need to write the whole of this statement, but you should know the key area that describe the function of the application, or the function, right? Rather, when you concatenate your data, you create what? New data sets. So you should bear that in mind. By combining data from what? Separate what? Distinct sources. You often need to combine data frames so that you can analyze data from what? A mixture of sources. You can combine data frame using share index value by calling the PD. So this PD is what? The pandas, right? Why this concat? Instead of you spelling it as concatenation, you simply call it what? Concat, and then followed by the function. Now, this is a typical illustration of what we are about to achieve. But unfortunately, I'm not working with this data set, but I can use it to actually explain the entire concept around what? Data what? Concatenation. Now, if you look at the two data frame we have right now, these can actually be meshed together, right? To become one. So this is just like initially you were given this data set. They did not remember that they want to collect the customer what? Email at first. They want to collect what? The telephone and what? The WhatsApp. So all this did not occur to them at the beginning. So after they have sent this one to you, they now remember that, we need to expand the what? The data frame. Are you with me? So now you have to join this one with this one. That is why I label them what? Data set 1 and what? Data set 2. So this is just for you to have a pictorial representation of the concatenation we are talking about. So there are criteria that are involved before you can actually concatenate your data. One, the data you are adding, you are joining with the first one must have the same number of what? Record. Exactly. How many records do we have here if you count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Now, if, for example, you are concatenating 4 record data sets with what? 5 record, what will happen? You will end up having what? NaN, because some values will not have, some cell will not have what? Value, because the two data set does not match. I don't know if you are with me. Did you understand it? Now, look at this. This is what we are going to write down now, the syntax. But there are two ways we can actually concatenate our data. So, supposing, now I want you to pay attention here. I'm about to explain something very key. Now, let me use this diagram to explain it. Let's say this is that data set 1, right? And then you have another one that you are merging to the first one, and you want to place them horizontally, side by side. You know that I can also have another, I can say, okay, the second data should come under the first one, which means that if the first one have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this one should come and start under this after row number 4, should continue under it. So, or I can say, okay, maintain the same row number, but the headers in the first one should continue what? Vertically. That is immediately what? After WhatsApp. I don't know if you are getting me. Because the data set you are seeing now, what I showed us before is this one, right? Where they are separated. But what I'm showing you now, I have already concatenated them. You can now see that what? They are one now. You can see the email and the tel and the WhatsApp that were in data set 2. That are now together with what? Data set 1. Just because they were placed like this. So this is data set 1. Why this what? This is just like what? Data set what? 1. Why here is what? Data set what? 2. But if I'm going to arrange it like this, that is what? Vertically, then this will become what? Data set what? 2. That is what? You are placing this one directly what? Under this. So what I'm trying to explain is this capture. Why did I say concatenated based on what? Row what? Value. Now, when you concatenate row value, it means that you are placing the two data sets side by side. And that is not going to generate different what? Serial number. So the serial number of the first one, right, is what will be used to what? For the second one. But if you concatenate it based on column means what? This is one column, this is another column. That means what? You are placing data 2 directly what? Under what? Data 1. So in that case, the row number of this number 1, number 2 of this one will what? Will be repeated here. Exactly. So that is what I am trying to explain. So I want you to write down the whole of this. This is what you write down now, quickly, as your syntax for concatenating. So knowing fully well that the PD is the pandas, are you done with the writing now? Okay. So now we are going to the data. Take note of the syntax, PD dot what? Concat, then the bracket, and you are selecting those two data sets with the square bracket. Then, comma, as is equals to what? 1. The reason why you are adding that as is equals to 1, because we are dealing with what? Column or row. Are you with me? It's an attribute. Now, let me go back to my data sets. Let me go back to my data set and display something. Now, what we are doing right now is what? Let me use comment as usual. Data was selection. Selection was methods, which is still under what? Data selection what? Analysis. It's part of analysis, but you are selecting what? Data. Now, the first one is pay attention first. I'll give you time to perform it. Data selection method. So now, from this data set, what is the name of the data set now? DA2, right? So let's say from DA2, I want to select only what? Just like the way you have that data set 1 and what? Data set 2. So I want to create sub data set from this what? DA2. So, and I will join them together. So I'm calling out first name and age as 1, as my data set what? 1. And then I will call out what? My income as what? My data set what? 2. Then I will now join them together. So I will now have a different data set that will have how many columns? First name, age, and what? Income, which I can focus my analysis on directly. So it means that from this main data, I have been able to what? To derive what? A sub-data that I'm working with. So sometime in your office or your working environment, these are some tasks you might be given. Are you with me? So let me quickly select that. So the first one is, let's say what? Result 1. I'm just using any name, right? Or let's say what? Cell what? 1. That's selection 1, right? Now remember the syntax. Remember the first one. The first one, I will now just call the name of the data set. Now, there is something I want us to know. If the data set you are calling is one header description, for example, now age, 1 word, right? But first name, how many words do you have there? 2, right? So if I want to call that one, but right now you will agree with me that first underscore name is 1 word because they are merged with what? Underscore. Adding underscore is not there, like, though we have already added what? Underscore to all this. So supposing underscore is not there. So Python, we see that as what? Double what? Description. But now I can simply do something like this. I can copy the header like this. Sorry, copy the name of the data set, which is called DA what? DA2, right? DA2. So I'll simply say dot, then I'll copy the header. So which means that what? From the A2, we want to pull out what? This, right? So if I run it now, you can see that what? It has pulled out everything. But the results are stored in what? Cell 1. So if I want to view them, I'll simply select what? Cell what? 1, and then run it. So you can see that what? From that DA2, we have been able to what? To select. Are you with me? Now, but I want to also highlight that we can also do it this way. DA what? DA2 dot what? Dot, or we can use DA2 select using this bracket. I don't know if you are seeing this very well. You are seeing this, right? So select. So instead of me using this method of dots, I can use what? This. But most time, this one is used where let's assume that we don't have underscore separating this first and name. And I want to select it. You cannot use dot to select it. You use what? This. And if you are using this, you have to put it in a string bracket, right? And then before you paste, and then you run. So this is another what? Way you can select. It's either use the dot method or you use what? The square bracket what? Method. But this is not actually what we want to do. Remember, I told you that what we want to do is that we want to see how from, so let me delete all this. We want to see how, please pay attention. Pay attention. But after this, I will allow you to work. So what I want to achieve here is that I'm selecting name and age at the same time, right? I don't want to pick them 1-1. Whenever you want to select multiple, let me use comment to explain it here. How to select multiple what? Headers from a data set. So see what I'm going to do. I will say what? This. Then call the name of the data and then square bracket, two of them. Two. Are you getting me? Two of them. Then I will now use that string method. The first one is what? Is this, right? I will now put what? Comma. The string again. The next one is what? Is age. So if there are three, then you run it. Now, if I want to see the result, what will I call? Cell what? Cell 1. And then I run it. I have two of them. So this is 1, right? Remember, we want to concatenate, right? So now I said we want to also pull out what? No, income. Okay, let's say we are pulling out income and what? Discount, right? So I will now say cell what? Cell 2. This is exactly what you do for me. Cell 2 equals to. So I will now call what? DA what? DA2. Then how many brackets? 2. Then the first one is what? Income. Income is spelled, follow the case, right? Then comma, string again, discount. Discount is there S? Okay, no S, right? So I execute, accepted. To view it, what do I do? Cell what? 2, and then run it. Now let's go for concatenation. Therefore, we have to join these two selections as one data set, right? Good, that is the main target. Therefore, concatenate cell what? Cell 1 and what? Cell what? 2, right? Cell 2. So I will now say what? Final data underscore data. So this is the one you are going to analyze now, right? Equals to, remember the function, the syntax PD, dot what? Dot concat, open bracket, then select, right? The first data is what? Cell what? 1, right? Comma. The second one is what? Cell 2. Then I said you add what? Put a comma outside and say what? As is equals to what? 1, right? And then let's execute. Accepted. For us to see our result, what will we do? Final what? Final underscore what? Data. Final underscore data. Perfect. So you can see that. So I can as well say maybe sub data. So from the main data, you can see I have been able to what? To carve out a different what? Data. So if you are given a voluminous data set and you have checked what you want to analyze, does not have anything with some headers. So you can simply pull out the ones that what you want to target, right? And form a different data set that you can start analyzing. Are you getting me now? For example, now I can run .shape.what.info, right? In order to check all this. So quickly, I want you to perform this task now. So you are going to, I believe you have the data set. Good. If you have it, exactly what I did is what we are going to do. From here, right? So copy first. Then you now what? Implement. All right. So let's see the next one. Now, what we did, you concatenated based on row. Remember, I was trying to explain why we are adding that as is. You can see that if you want to concatenate based on column, there's no need of adding what. So you can see what the syntax is saying here. No as is equals to. So let's try that data now. Let's assume that I want to concatenate the same thing. Let's say this one is result 2. Let me just make it, or let's say result 2 is equals to PD, right? Dot what? Concat, then square bracket, right? The other was what? Cell what? Cell 1, right? Comma what? Cell 2. Now you can see that I'm not coming out here to say something like this, as is. axis is equal to what? 1. So whenever you did not add this axis, it means you are saying that diagram that I gave you the other time. It means this is how the first cell 1 will be this. Then cell 2 will now what? Come under it. That is when you did not specify what? The axis. So let's run it and see whether that is exactly what we are going to get. So if I run this now, and then I call what? Res what? Res 2. Then I run it. You see what I have now? You see it now? So it added it to what? Under it. So it's continue, it has its own separate index number. So this one has generated a lot of what? NaN, which is not exactly what we wanted. But there are some data structure you might be given where concatenating like this will give you the results. Are you with me? So let's quickly write down this. So you write your notes. I'm not going to allow you to practice this one. So you write your notes. Maybe when you get to, you practice all. You write your note. What we are doing here is what? Concatenating concatenation, okay, based on what? Based on column. So that is the second data set will be placed under the first data set. Are you with me? That's what we are saying. So let's go back to our slide and quickly see what else we can add. We are still talking about what? Data selection techniques. So now we can actually drop. We can actually drop. I believe in our previous class, we must have explained what? Drop function, right? Which means that we want to delete record at, if you check this now, look at this here. 0, 1, 2, no 3, no 4, right? Out of the 2 data sets, you concatenate. So how do you drop rows? Let's say I want to delete a particular record from the data I concatenated. So I can use its own index number, remember, right? So that is what this one means now. So what we are about to do here now, which is still part of what we want to quickly cover under this, is just to have it write the topic in your notes, how to drop. Are you with me? How to drop records from data set. Make sure you are copying what I'm writing. Data set using index positioning. Using index positioning. So what was the syntax we saw here now? Look up a second. This is the data set name that I'm dropping these 2 rows from, right? So in our case now, it becomes what? DA what? DA what? 2, right? DA 2. Okay, good. The final underscore what? Data. So dot drop is a function. Then we are selecting those rows, as in those row index. Now look at what you have under final data. Let's check what we have there right now. This is the final data, right? This is the final data. This is the final data, right? So you can see 0 now, right? You can see 0 and 1. So let's say we want to delete record at what? 0 and what? And 1, right? So if I run it now, so that it's outputted it without you seeing what? 0 and 1 record has been removed.
So it's still under selection. You selected them and what? Deleted them with what? The drop function. Exactly. So let me quickly allow us to do that. I think it's very important because if I give you homework now, so let's go back to the slides. So this is data sorting. Let's look at that. Data sorting quickly. Data sorting. Now, remember that we did sorting even in Excel, right? Data sorting means what? Arranging your data in a standard order, which could be what? Ascending or what? Descending. Okay? And now, whenever you are sorting in Python, you need to specify the column that you are using as the criteria for the sorting. I want to pay attention to what is on the slide first. Object name dot what? Sort value. So this object name should be replaced by what? Your data set name, right? So the main function name is what? Dot what? Sort underscore what? Value. Now this by index is the header that is going to be used as the criteria for the arrangement is what we define here. Then this ascending is an attribute. Are you following? Is an attribute. So you don't say because you want to sort descending, you change it from what? Ascending to what? Descending. Whether you are doing ascending or descending, it must remain what? Ascending. So this is where you control whether ascending or what? Descending. So if I put true here, it will give me one order. If I put false here, it will give me what? Another order. While this remain constant. Now I want to look at what I have here. This is where I applied it. So you can see that what? This by index has been replaced with what? Email. So which means that at the end of your sorting, all the values under email must maintain which order? Ascending order. So my label was wrong. False is what? Ascending order. True is what? Descending what? Order. But take note of the syntax. So I'm going to give you time to what? To copy this, and then at the end of the day, you write this syntax. Sorted is my data set name, the new one that is going to hold the arranged what? Data. App is the data set like DA1 or maybe final underscore what? Data. That is your data set, right? Which you have replaced with this. Now, sort is a function. Email is the column criteria for the sorting. Why this is an attribute, then this is where you are specifying the order, and then you call the variable name in order to see the output. Exactly. So quickly copy now. Copy. No, copy from here. Copy the whole of this from this comment to this place. Then you now jump to what? To syntax. Vertically, all these names are not what? Arranged. And we want to sort the whole of this data set based on what? Their name. So I will say what? Sorting of data sets in what? In Python. So the task is what? Sort. The task is what? Sort final what? Final underscore what? Data set by what? By first name. Have you? So that you know where that first attribute is. That by attribute is coming in. First name. So from this instruction, what is the syntax? I will create, let's say this is the name of the data frame that will be holding the sorted version, right? Now followed by equals to, then followed by what? Final, which is what? The data set name I am working with, final data, right? Then followed by what? Dot what? Sort underscore what? Values, right? Then open what? The bracket, then by coming here equals to, so this is what you are stating. Remember the instruction said that we are sorting based on what? First underscore what? Sorry, final underscore what? Name, right? So it's a string, right? So we are going to what? Quote it. So to avoid error, I can just copy it from here. Control what? C. And then come here and paste. Then you come outside what? After this, what follow? We are supposed to put all this in brackets because we are selecting. We are supposed to put this in brackets, right? Because we are selecting that header from data set. So we'll now do what? Comma, right? So we'll now do ascending. No, okay. We are selecting first name. That's what I wanted to write. So let me just complete this. You are correct. The criteria for our analysis is what? First underscore what? Sorry, this is what I would have copied. Are you with me? So now I'll come here and replace it. Then ascending, then followed by what? Equals to. And then, like I said, you specify whether what? False or what? Or true. The first should be capital letter, the F as in the first letter. If you are using true, the T should be what? Capital letter. Now we're going to see the order this way generate now. So if I run it, accepted, I want to see the result. What do I do? Sorted, right? Sorted. So if I run it, now check now. So how did they arrange them now? This is descending, right? Because the list is appearing the last one. Now let me change here to what? So which means that what? Where you specify ascending attribute to be first, you have what? Descending, right? Then let's put here what? True. Remember I said the T must be what? Capital letter. So what do you have now? Ascending. Are you getting it now? So this is how you sort. So this is where you control either ascending or what? Descending. Quickly, let's apply. Let's apply. Let us apply. That's everything we have in this cell and what? Implement. So let's go back to our slide and take one more. Okay, now how to use what? Label index. We have done that. Label index is simply this. You can see that is what we are doing now, right? So we have done that. So let's look at how to, no, this one, we don't need this. We have done something like this too also, right? This is the name of the data we just call out today. So this one to go to. We'll look at this one in the next class because time will not permit us to finish it. So I just want to, there's a particular one I want us to. But I think we have to stop here because all these ones, they are complex analysis. You understand? I can't start it now. We cannot finish it. These are already after one. So we stop here. You understand? So what you will do now is to make sure you practice everything we have done. So just to write the topic down so that the next class I will know where exactly we are starting from. Write the topic down so that you know where we are starting from. So in our next class, we are going to start with data analysis with log and ilog function. These ones they are also under data selection, but we're going to be using node function to achieve that. So write the whole of that topic down so I will know where exactly we are going to continue from in our next class. So please, everybody should go through this before the next class.